Hey, Howard here at 82 Maple again, and we're in part 3 of the series on things you want to know before you buy. And if you're wanting a bit of context, take a quick look at part 1. Again, no complaints with Norwood. The team is terrific. The equipment is terrific. I'd buy it all over again. This is simply about the questions and tips, tricks, and techniques that I wish I'd known about a couple of years ago. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about unscheduled blade exits. Now, I cannot believe that I didn't keep or didn't take any photos of the blades that have come through this side cover. There's been 5 exit through here. They're below this, or the cuts are below the surface inside of there. I put a cover over, and that's what we're going to talk about. But it's pretty spectacular when you see a 2-foot length of blade steel sticking out of here, suddenly and unexpectedly. And so the manual is pretty explicit about no personnel being along here as this saw head is moving back and forth on the tracks. But there are times when it is sure inconvenient to shut the sawmill down in order to move around from one side of the saw head to another. So what's the solution? Well, as it turns out, it's very economical. It's super easy. It amounted to taking some pieces of furnace ducting, and you can see right on here, this is called a duct cap. It's 3 1/4 inches by 10 inches. Flatten 3 sides of it, leave the 4th side intact, and I'm just going to switch spots here with coral right now, and we take a little jigsaw and we just slice this so that it goes around the corner. On this particular piece, and there's some photos on screen right now showing how I bolted this using washers that are designed for bolts with a taper, have the nuts sticking out. It worked perfectly. I didn't have the proper rivets, otherwise I would have used them. For the other side of the saw head, I actually did go to the trouble to get the proper rivets, and so we're just going to walk around there and take a look at that. And so here we go. I took it right from the top all the way down, had a couple of blades exit fairly low down here, but I thought that for rigidity and strength, I would add this additional piece up here, although no blade is likely to exit up there. Now, let's keep walking around here, and we're going to take a look at the front end side of this. So here we have a pretty significant chunk of front cover missing. And that was due to a very ill thought out move where I got halfway down a cut and there was an obstacle in the wood and so I figured I would just back the blade out again. We'll never do that again because the blade did the predictable thing. It came off. It took a big hole here. So I called the folks at Norwood and said, hey, can you send me a new front cover? This one's getting a little raggy. And I got some great advice. And the advice was, take a 1/4 inch piece of birch plywood, put it inside, cut it to fit, put a couple of supports, bolt it together, and it worked wonderfully, except it created a brand new problem. And so I had to fix that by getting some angle braces, and I'll throw a couple photos up here on screen of those. This whole cover mechanism just sagged because of the additional weight of the birch. Now again, the birch was a wonderful idea because if I ever have something that causes the saw to come off the saw wheels, that birch is going to slow it right down and it's not going to come through here. So that was a solid recommendation. But again, caused a new issue. The fix was dead easy, and we're up and running. Sawdust collection. Now, perhaps if I'm only doing a little bit of cutting and in relatively small wood, it's simply not an issue. However, cutting larger logs, 16 feet, maybe 12 inches or more wide, This little sawmill in about 15 minutes will turn out a full 5-gallon bucket of sawdust. And I keep a larger tin here for just dumping it in, and it'll hold maybe 5 or 6 of these. And so I first just put a little bracket here and hung this with its regular factory handle right off it. There was a couple of problems with that. One, half the sawdust would just blow out, and so I was left with a mess anyway. And secondly, the solid handle would bump into the hydraulic log loader components here, and it would start tipping the bucket as soon as I got close down to the deck. So True Redneck Fix took a 4-liter WD-40 bucket, carved one side off of it, attached it to the covers, put a little hook on it here, thinking that that's where I would hang the bucket. It still wasn't as effective as I wanted. So ignore that hook there for now. This is where the bucket hangs. This little flap, which is the former bottom of the WD-40 bucket, prevents most of the dust from escaping, and it just works really, really well. I can't imagine anything working better. So there we have it, some Redneck Fixes on the HD36, and we're off and running. Stay tuned. Part 4 coming right up. We're going to talk about something that could be a bit better with the log loader, and then we're going to walk back around here to the saw head deck and chat a little bit about this spigot and about the battery. So that's coming up in part 4. Stay tuned. Again, here's to the journey. I hope you're enjoying this. Comment, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and at 82 Maple, it's all about keeping those 8 fingers and 2 thumbs.